Once upon a time, in the year 1997, 28 years ago, there was a 15-year-old boy who had just graduated secondary school and high school with three dreams: to be a medical doctor because he loved his paternal grandfather who was a medical doctor, to build machines and engines, or to build electronics. But because he did not like the smell of blood, he quickly crossed out being a medical doctor. And then when he weighed the option between building engines and building electronics and video consoles and video game consoles, he realized that he was more passionate about building electrical and electronics gadgets. So he had chosen his course of study, electrical and electronics engineering, at the Federal University of Technology, Owerri. But little did he know that the society and the realities on ground were not going to encourage his dreams. So he could not gain admission to study electrical and electronics engineering at this university that he desired to attend so badly. But by the year 1998, he got an admission to study maths education at Ambrose Ali University, Ekpoma, Edo State, Nigeria. He rejected the offer. At the year 1999, he got another admission to study, this time around, pure and applied mathematics. Mathematics again. At the University of Benin, Ekenwa campus, Edo State, Nigeria. He rejected the offer yet again. But by the year 2000, he now got an admission to study computer science. And because it seemed like it was closer to his dream of being an electrical and electronics engineer, he took the offer. But because he got the offer from a school that sounded like a secondary school, Christian Faith University at the time, he almost rejected the offer, and for a whole semester would not go to school until 2 weeks to the first semester exam. He now reluctantly took the admission. He would go ahead from the year 2000 to the year 2002 to excel greatly with a CGPA of 4.75 over 5. Yes, he did so well. Then life would strike eventually. His dad divorced his mom, and his dad could not pay his school fees for a year. And then he lost his admission because he tried to go to another school. They lost nearly 2 years of his academic life. When somehow his parents realized that he was no longer in school, they bonded together to ensure that he got back to school. But this time around, he was already tired of school. But then he went back 2 weeks to the first semester 300 level exams for somebody who had been away from school for close to 2 years. Then his grade dropped. By the time he graduated from that same university, which had now changed its name to Benson Idahosa University, Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria, he graduated with a 3.25 second class lower division. But he knew he was smart. He knew his academic qualifications did not represent him completely. But he would go ahead to lose a lot of offers. He could not apply to some scholarships because he was not a second class upper division or a first class on paper. But right after he had gotten his bachelor's degree in computer science, he applied to study at the University of California, Los Angeles, film, television, and digital media. He got the offer, he got the admission letter, but because nobody in his family and none of his relatives could afford to pay the school fees, he lost that offer. This was in the year 2007, right after he had finished serving the country, Nigeria, for 1 year from the year 2006 to the year 2007. By the year 2008, while he was working at First Bank of Nigeria PLC, he applied yet again, but this time around, to a university in Sweden to study artificial intelligence. After he had gained the admission and he had resigned from the bank, the school wrote him to inform him that unfortunately they would not be proceeding with the program because they did not have enough students. Yet again, his dream was dashed. Now, his dream to be an electronics engineer was dashed. His attempt to go for grad school proved abortive for the second time. By the year 2009, he tried yet again. This time around, he got an admission to study evolutionary/adaptive systems at the University of Sussex in the UK. But they had presented the offer to him like it was a fully funded scholarship program. After he had gained the admission, they told him he owed some amounts of pounds. Of course, he could not afford that. So yet again, his dream to achieve a grad school degree was dashed again. Then he would go ahead to live his life. He got a job in corporate America eventually when he moved to the US. But before he did, in the year 2015, he had improved his French to the B2 level from Nigeria to go study intelligence systems at a university in France. But the person he was seeing at the time told him, "You don't have to go to France. Why don't you come to the US? Let's build our lives together. You're smart, you're intelligent, you can make it here. You can come to school in the United States." And then he took the bait and eventually would become a victim of domestic abuse. But then he met his therapist who would guide him to reclaim his self-esteem. So by the year 2024, he was having a conversation with his previous therapist, and then she mentioned something about the color-coded self-assessment that she uses to coach corporate organizations. And then he interestingly decided to go do an assessment of himself. So it turns out he had the IC personality type, which was very good for analysis and academia. He went ahead again to do the learning style assessment and realized that after everything, he was the logical and analytical learner. Again, analysis. Then he would eventually also realize that he had pattern recognition intelligence, which again was good for analysis. The people in his life at the time kept saying, "You sound like a professor, you sound like a professor." And then he was also surrounded by PhDs. So eventually his life would spiral in December 2024 from being a coach in corporate America where he coached people to improve processes. But because he was this skin color coaching people that skin color, he had experienced managerial gaslighting so much that he began to second guess himself. That's when he told himself he no longer had to be in that space. He wanted something new. He wanted to feel alive again. So he chose to apply to a school in Korea to study IT convergence engineering. And today, he is a member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. Ladies and gentlemen, it is me. Do your self-assessments to know exactly the timeline that is best for you.